Guys, welcome back to Theory of Three. So we're just sitting here talking about all kinds of the good that's been going on in the past couple of weeks. Actually, speaking of which, this might be something we want to bring up for those who are listening. We were talking about censorship, and we were talking about some of the conversations that Gary Vee has had in certain interviews where he talks about like the use of language in podcasts or up on stage, anything, and he talks about how demographically you can do so much better in the charts, so to speak, if you don't swear. And it's quite an interesting thought because obviously the three of us do.
Hey, let's preface that. No, for all the young people out there, we don't swear at all.
Yeah,
I shouldn't.
I literally walk around with the Bible in my back pocket.
Yeah.
No, it's a situation. Obviously anybody that works in the film industry, knows that the only thing dirtier than us is the Marines.
But in some sense, like I feel like you. If I stub my toe, I'm not going to yell it. But if something happens on set, I whisper it to myself. I don't want anybody else to hear it. But in some sense, like I think for us, like client wise, if we're on set, like that usually never slips, and you have to be pretty careful about where you say it and when you say it. But I have no problem with people that swear. I have a very bad habit of picking it up. Like if I was working with someone the other week and they were just laying it out, and like at the end of the day, I was saying it more than I usually say it, and I'm like, oh, I'm so impressionable. This is bad. But
yeah, and I think the only reason why we brought it up is in context of the podcast. The concept of us swearing on in front of people, specifically for an audience that is slightly younger, those that just have just appeal to the kind that don't
Here's the problem is when you're around people all the time and you're talking to them face to face, your mind is automatically going to censor that stuff. But when you're around your brothers and you don't see anybody and you forget about the mic being there, you just automatically say things that you regret. And like even let's take last week's episode as an example. Like Phil came back to me. I was like 2 hours later was like, dude, why were you saying? And I'm like, well, sorry, man. I'm sorry. He's like, I had to cut like 5 minutes out of this episode. But he does a good job at bleeping it out to an extent.
More so static, but
to an extent. Not saying that it's something that we want to uphold and something that that we condone, but it is what it is. It's a fact of life. Everyone does, and we've come up with great ways. I feel like when we were younger, we were always brought up in a sense of like, don't swear, don't swear, don't ever swear, and we became very creative. Like what we were just talking about, crud was like the oldest
good old
one that
Midwestern
crud. Yeah.
What the flip?
Yeah. What the flip? Yeah. I still. Wow. What was the other one? What was the one you were just saying a minute ago? Mother trucker.
Mother trucker.
Yeah, mother trucker was one of the other ones. Yeah. But like those ones were hilarious. Yeah. That was one of the things that I know when we were definitely growing up, people were like, don't swear.
Yeah, we grew up in a pretty conservative circle, so
super conservative.
Yeah, so
super conservative.
If you sneezed incorrectly and said the name of Jesus, unless it was in a prayer, it was woo, woo.
You couldn't have sleeves. What was it, 3/4 sleeves?
No, you had to always wear long sleeves and stuff. We're not getting into our childhood. Our very depressed. Yeah. Very people are like, you guys survived? Yes, we did.
We're alive.
We're alive. It definitely shaped the people who we are today, but for the best or for the worst, it is what it is. Let me talk about it because I'm looking at the glass right now. I come up this morning, so sometimes we record this podcast. We were busy all day Friday, so sometimes we'll record this actually Monday morning. And so this was the first thing that I get up to Monday morning to go downstairs, have breakfast, come upstairs. And Austin's sitting at the laptop, and I see he's got a Guinness, which we have a Guinness cup, which I usually drink beer out of, and it has brown liquid in it, which apparently I'm like, there's no way that's beer. Like, if that's beer, something's gone wrong. So I'm like, well, what do you got there? And he's like, what? And I was like, what is that? Because my brain right now, like at that moment was going, dude, he's drinking already in the morning. There's no way. Like, is this from last?
8 o'clock in the morning.
I never drink in the first place.
I was like, well, wait, is this from last night? Because I was hoping that was from last night and he just forgot to drink it. And you were like, no, I got it up this morning. I was like, oh my God. He's drinking Guinness. And then he was like, no, it's iced tea. And I'm like, oh God.
Well, it was in the fridge. No, I didn't have a container. I had to put the container away, and I didn't want to take it outside. I was like, well, I should probably... Oh, see? There.
Why did you grab a Guinness cup? Like, I just...
It was the largest one in the container that I could actually fit all the sweet tea into. Yeah, and it fit perfectly. It was all the way top, and so I set it in the fridge.
Dude, I was tripping. I was like, there's no way...
I saw that in the morning when I got down this morning, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, it was literally the only one that I could...
I thought Curtis just put it in there.
Dude, if I open a beer, I could drink it. I drink it all. No, I was talking about that was I had a shoot last week on I think Thursday, and I can't say who it was with, but I was solo. I was in Kansas City gripping I should say, and this is one of those stories that cracks me up. Our gaffer, first time I worked with this gaffer, super good guy, and then I was working with probably one of my oldest friends that was from Kansas City. Super. I've worked with him for 3 or 4 years, probably. Known him for 3 or 4 years. Worked with him probably that long as well. Really good guy, gaffs and grips and stuff, and we talk quite a bit of time, all the time probably. But anyway, we were out there gripping, and our call time was like 5:30 in the morning, so it was like an hour drive from his house in KC. And so we get up, we're driving a set, and I'm reading the call sheet, and it says at 1 p.m. set up psych wall, and I'm like, wait, what? Psych wall. And this location, they already told us where we're shooting. We're shooting in a field on top of a hill, and we have to take ATVs to get up there. And I'm like, why are we setting up a psych wall? So I'm like, you know what? Maybe they misspoke. Maybe it is an 8x8 solid, or I don't know what they're gonna do. Like that's not even a psych wall, but something along those lines. Like I was talking to the gaffer. We're gonna be flying a 20x20. And some 12s, so it wasn't that big of a deal. That being said, we get up there and we shoot most of the day. We set up the 20x20, and that all goes well. And it's windy up on top of the hill, so like I'm thinking, okay, what's this psych wall? I was about to say. See, I was about to. My brain caught me. I was like, I'm looking at the mic. So I'm like, okay, so lunch rolls around. We had a great lunch, absolutely great lunch. And then afterwards, they start hauling this 8x8 solid background up there, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so the gaffer's like, yeah, I think they want us to fly the 20x20 over and silk it, and we were using a quarter grid. It looked good. It would look really good, but I also want to talk about that shoot as well. But anyway, I'm on a technical side. We get up there and we're trying to set this psych wall up, and like the wind's blowing, right? We're on top of this hill, the wind's blowing, and our director is sitting behind the monitor, and he's going, hey, can we get some of these wrinkles out? And Sean and myself are trying to do the best we can. We have it on C-stands. We've told them before already. They set it up, and then we were like, well, maybe we should get combos for that. They're like, no, it'll be fine. They set it up. The wind's blowing, so we grip clip the thing, so the wind's blowing the background. He's like, well, can we get it to not blow? And they're having a wide of it, right? They see the C-stands, they see the field, they see the background, they see the character, and I understand what they're trying to do. They're doing portraits, like live portraits, whatever the hell. Anyway, the wind's blowing, knock it down the first time. So then Sean and I were like, yep, we saw that coming, so we got combos, we did it again, and then he's like, well, can we get the grips out? The wind's blowing. And so our director gets up from his chair, walks over to our gaffer, and I overheard this conversation as I was tying down the 20x. Hey guy, can we get a 8x8 solid to help block the wind on our 8x or on our background? And I'm like, our gaffer was like, no. And I never died so laughing. Like I was rolling. Like, dude, one, we're on top of a mountain. We're on top of a hill. 2, wind's coming from everywhere, and you want to set up a 8x to help block the wind so it doesn't push your background around. So I'm like, this is the most. I was laughing my see. Look how fast I slipped that in. Sorry for the bleep. But anyway, I get up there, and we finally get it somewhat decent, and the director's happy with it. And so we clip this thing, double clip this thing, and the wind starts blowing. It picked up. And so our first natural instinct is to grab the 20x because that's kind of that's the most important thing on set. And this 8x8 background rips. I mean, the grip clips were clapped on. It ripped every, like, at least good 2 inches on either side.
Wow.
Ripped all of it, like the whole thing down to the paper or down to the cardboard. And it fell to the ground, just ripped up and starts like pulling everywhere. So finally, the PAs get it under control. And our director said, another nugget of gold. He's like, shoot, that happened in the pre-light. We should have got another roll. And like Sean and I looked at each other, and afterward the set were like, dude, you had this happen in the pre-light, and you still thought it was a good idea to do this? Like, oh, dude, it was so bad. It was so bad. We're not gonna talk about the story because hopefully people don't like. Not too many people listen to this podcast, but the story was just hilarious. Like, oh my god, go to the top of the hill, cook rice with your friends. That's the story. When was the last time that you cooked rice with your friends? Go to the top of a mountain to cook rice. Like, what? Also, we shot from 5:30 to 9, raw. And when I say raw, they were shooting C300 Mark IIs, Sigma 18, Sigma Duclos, I guess, enclosed. So it was like Cine lenses.
Yeah.
And then they had a full set of Sony or Sigma primes. So they had the 18 to 35, the 5100, and then the full set.
Primes,
all the primes. And we were shooting raw. No kick, no bounce, no flags, nothing. From 5:30 to 9. No returns.
What'd you guys do?
Nothing. We just sat up there and did courtesies all day. Still 9. And then we set up the 20 body, and then we didn't do anything else. We did some shiny boards at the end, but that was it. It's absolutely it.
Wow.
Yeah, I sat at the 20 body. I got burnt so bad. What the footage looked like. Well, I was asking my gaffer. I was like, hey, don't we usually do returns? He's like, dude, cameras get latitude and all that stuff, but you can't substitute
Was
return.
it cloudy that day?
No,
at all?
Dude, broad sunlight.
That doesn't make any sense.
All their actors were superly heavily backlit, and then their faces were. I mean, if they pull it off, great. But to me, why wasn't there some sort of kicker?
There has to be something.
Yeah, some return. Like, I just don't.
Ridiculous.
I mean, the you have the super warm sunlight, and then there's a very flat blue. Yeah. That's what it is. That's all it will look like, because you have the shadows, and the whole sky is blue. That's all you're getting in your shadows. Everything's blue. I just didn't see. I just didn't see why it would look that way. I don't know. But besides the point, that was hilarious. I died laughing.
Wow.
Like my friend and myself, Sean, we died laughing on the way home, just talking about that director. Can you set up the 8x and block the wind? It's like, good God. Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
But yeah, that was my story this week. I know you worked with someone in St. Louis on Saturday.
Yeah, no,
can't really say who it is.
Yeah, we can't, again. I can't say anything. But yeah, no, we were shooting a couple of interviews downtown St. Louis.
Since
like,
the Blues won.
It
was Saturday.
So there were several things that was happening in St. Louis, and if I mentioned what was happening, then people would actually know, who we were filming. But there was, quite a few celebrity people over the weekend.
Hold on. I just said the Blues won. I think people would get the idea.
Well, no. Well, there was
a lot of people down there, dude.
In a short reference, and this is going to be way too obvious for those that have any, knowledge of what's been happening, like both in sports events. The Blues won the Stanley Cup,
which is a big deal.
Big deal for St. Louis. Obviously, as a alcohol city or just a beer city, they were drinking from like 9 a.m. But the whole city was up in an uproar. We were actually shooting a lot of B-roll footage. For a separate project in the evening, we shot a bunch of several interviews, specifically one. But at the interview, I've been in interviews a lot with just random people, actors, so on and so forth. But when you get to like that high profile, like celebrity level, like the A-lister type,
there's things you do.
There's very specific things that happen, and we showed up to the interview, and there was only 4 of us that set up this interview. I mean, it was in a small like sort of stately gray textured wall ballroom, and we got the setup done, and it was pretty much like a one source look, with some bounce. It was pretty straightforward, a little bit of with a backlight, just a little bit of a hair light. The actress was African American, so she had like this really beautiful skin tone, very beautiful afro. So it worked really good, the combination. And we kind of figured all this out before we got there, and then we stopped, right? So we had dinner finally from a local Mexican place, and it was great. And we sat there eating for 30 minutes. She hasn't arrived yet, and she was supposed
She's
to
late for 30 minutes.
She's 30 minutes late, and obviously the crew and the director and we were all pretty much had nothing to do at that point. But then all of a sudden there was like this little hustle and tizzy going outside, and here comes like I guess her aide just like flies in the room all as gay as possible, just like literally just does a ballet into the room. She goes, "She has arrived," and I like about died. And then he turns and like. Here she comes into the room, just kind of sweeps in with a bunch of her people, and she's obviously a big personality, so she, very warm, very intriguing.
At first,
yeah. So obviously, and again, people who have worked with celebrities will understand this. There are a lot of divas in the industry, and she honestly was probably the biggest diva I have ever stinking worked with, and she was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the caliber of actor that you're working with, especially when they're doing it's something as simple as an interview, and they start making a statement like, so when I grew up, and she immediately reset herself, and she always gave her, and I timed it too. I was literally watching the clock on the camera, watching time code, and she would time it literally 3 seconds every single time.
You gave the editor a good
cut. And it was so nice. She was so stinking professional.
A lot of that boils down to facial reset as well.
Yeah, well,
she has her own voice.
Yeah, she has her own internal timer. But she was absolutely fantastic. But literally, so we didn't actually have an official audio guy. It was kind of split between myself and the guy who was doing more of the gaffing. Fun times. It was a simple straight setup, and we were running CP3s with C300 Mark IIs.
Shooting a lot on those recently.
For some reason. I mean, I like the combo. It's really pretty. Don't get me wrong.
I want to read more.
But we had a set of director's headphones plugged into the camera so you could hear everything through the internal amping, and so it was hanging on the side there. The director turns to me and goes, "Hey, could you put them on? Just check levels when she first starts talking. We'll be good."
Sure.
I said, "That's fine. That's great." So I stand up. I walk to the back of the camera. I was originally sitting behind it about 10 feet. I walked up to the camera. The interviewer's sitting directly to my left, which is right next to the camera. She's already sat down. She gets ready for the interview. And the interviewer looks at her, looks towards me, looks back at her, and says, "Okay, let's begin." No countdown, no action, no nothing, no slate, nothing. Just straight into it. So she kind of settles herself and says, "Okay, here we go." And so I just hit record, right? I'm just like, okay, well, I guess we're just going for it.
You're recording dual or one?
One, just a single camera. Camera? 4K, single. They wanted to be able to punch in. Yep. Gotcha. They just wanted it to be simple. Yep. And I hit record. Well, I've got the headphones on now, and I've got my hands up to my head, and she hadn't gone 10 seconds into the interview when she stopped. She goes, "Hey," and they got the interviewer's attention. She goes, "You, eyes right here." look me in the eyes. This is a scene. I can't. You're distracting when you're looking everywhere else. Right here. And I sort of obviously you kind of get that. Okay.
You can feel the air change.
Everyone changed. Yeah. And so I'm still with my hands up to my head, okay, well, this is interesting. Okay. Yeah. And I'm directly behind camera, so I've kind of got my face directly towards where she can't see me. And then 30 seconds later, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put the headphones down and slowly back away. And she cuts the interview again. And I think she said Roger. I think is the name. And I guess it was one of her.
Now you're calling him out.
I don't know. Who knows who Roger is? It's just a name. We'll call him Alan. And she's like, "Alan, down." And she literally said it she was talking to her like a little puppy dog. Down. And I turn and look at him really quick, and he has his phone out. And she, I'm sorry, puts his phone down because apparently the light was distracting her. And at this point, I'm like, my butt's tight, and I'm like, oh shit, oh god, I can't move, I can't breathe. If I walk away from this, she's gonna immediately see me.
Yeah.
And so I slowly, for the next 5 minutes, slowly pulling my headphones off, and I get halfway down. I thought, oh god, if I take them off, she's gonna see the cord and everything falling down. So I put the headphones back on, slowly put my hands back down to my waist, and just sit there kind of like in a pseudo standing fetal position, like please end, and we're going through the interview, and I take like maybe a quarter step back to kind of reset my stance because my back's killing me, my feet are killing me. I've been like literally running all day.
Sure. And
I look at, this is the part that tripped me out too. I look at camera and see the C300 has like a really weird. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it has the recording light on it. It kind of tells you that you're recording, right? Well, I subconsciously hit the record button, and then I turned off my LCD info. So I can't tell whether it's actually recording or not.
Oh, God.
So I don't see any record button going off. And I look at camera. Well, somebody put black tape over top the record button Oh, dude, I couldn't see. There was no light. There was nothing flashing, nothing recording, nothing. And I couldn't just like reach up to camera and hit it like innocently. And I'm tripping. Like my heart's going crazy. I'm like, oh God. I've somehow like done the dumbest mistake possible, not hit the simplest thing, hit record. And so while she's in there, I like pull my hand up to waist level and reach straight out in front of me and reach up to the light, and I felt the tape and I peeled it off, and my heart was like, oh, as I saw like the red light like shoot through the tape.
Yeah.
Through the piece of tape. But yeah, no.
Divas.
Whew,
you know what gets me about that is you and I feel like you and I aren't as close. Like the closest I will get to, like the closest you will get to a diva or even an actress or an actor is telling them, hey, can you change this or can you move there or can you do that thing, whatever the director's not doing. Closest I'm ever gonna get it to a diva is a bounce board. Like if I'm ever bringing a pizza box in, if I'm the gaffer, I'm telling one of my grips to do it, and that's the closest I'm ever gonna get.
Yeah,
Philip
I
on the
just
other
go
hand,
straight in the bubble, man.
Phil's
straight in the bubble.
So there was a survey done within the industry, and there are two people. Technically, there's about 6 people that are the most close to the actors. I mean, obviously, makeup and hair are very personal with them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to on set, the 2 individuals that are the most intimate with the actors, who usually build the coolest relationships, is the sound guy and the second AC, because the second AC is literally in front of camera constantly for measuring marks, for running
makeup.
Makeup. But like I'm talking like directly on set, because makeup will have obviously people on set for standby, so on and so forth for touch up and last looks. But
it depends on the show though, because in some
it is
sense,
true.
It's like in some sense like. Big shows like The Office, like absolutely, like any behind the scenes stuff, you see them laughing, and then like one of the BTS things, like the guy trips, and like they're like, oh, like it depends on the set, like
like The Office, the camera guys were like
super close,
tight with all
and
the
like,
cast.
and I guess if a show runs super long, you know what I mean, like everyone gets to know everybody,
It's true.
So that's crew's got to kind of really be thinking.
But Philip gets to be all up in.
I've had some really interesting conversations. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's.
No, I bet there would be. I feel like in some sense, if anybody out there has ever been in a briefing room where the AD sets everyone down and the day before the shoot and goes, okay, we've got an A-lister on set tomorrow. Here are the rules that you do, and you're like, oh, good.
Well, there's even stuff when you get on set that's protocol when it comes to working with SAG-AFTRA and
I feel
we all can admit that there's a huge difference between shooting with like, oh yeah, I know who that is. It's like, oh, that's awesome. No, I know who exactly. It's the difference between shooting with like, and speaking about this, which I will talk about this in a little bit, but Men in Black. It's the difference between like working with Tessa Thompson or whatever her name is compared to Chris Hemsworth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, working with her, I mean, she is a good actress. She has a lot of talent. But I would say she's like a B-lister. She's not a top-of-the-line A-lister. And it's just like the air that happens. It's one thing to work on a set where you have a bunch of like B-listers and then, RDJ or Robert Downey Jr. walks on set. It's just everybody trips out.
Here's the difference is you can consider, what's her face? She played Captain Marvel.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. She wouldn't let any of the sound guys mic her.
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
See, it's a diva thing, though.
Right? It's a diva thing. But then you have Robert Downey Jr., he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Well, it's preference, though. Like, in some sense, I feel like that's her preference. She's getting paid, and her movie flopped so hot. But anyway, that being said, here's the thing. Is like, at the end of the day, I feel like if you do, like, even I was working on a set, one of my first films I worked on, like, the briefing is you never look them in the eye. If they ask you a question, you talk back. You never ask them a question. You stay out of their way. Never talk to any of them. Don't talk. Don't try to discuss. And I feel like in some sense that just applies to everything. When people are doing an interview, don't look them in the eye, don't watch the scene happen, like because people
monitor is where you're looking.
You always look at the monitor.
And same thing as a boom op is you have to look at the bottom of the mic. You cannot look at their eye.
Yeah.
You have to look at their top of their forehead and then gauge and then look at It's the same, like
eye line is everything because they see you looking at them.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like
you can catch their eye line.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. There's been moments where if you talk to an actor, one of the first questions in the first day, I treat them as if they're method. And then within the first day, I ask them whether or not they're method or not. Which it kind of helps because then if they're not and they want a distraction, because there's some actors and actresses that want a distraction from what they're doing so that when they get in, it's fresh. And so we'll have conversations, but there's people that are method actors that I will never talk to.
You slip in and out of their life. Like
I just slip in and out, and that's it. There's no conversation.
But that sounds like a relationship that we have with James. But moving on, like it's an interesting thing working with even B and A-listers, there's, like you said, there's an air shift when that happens on set. And it's not so much like, I don't know. I just don't.
It's definitely not a criticism.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, they definitely have a place in the world, and specifically for the person we were interviewing. I mean, she's been in Hollywood for 40 years. I mean, she kind of owns it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much her character.
She demands it.
Yeah, she demands it.
Supposedly.
She definitely demands it.
But I just don't. I just don't like treating people more respect. Like I treat actors as actors. I don't care if you're.
Same thing like anybody else.
I don't treat anybody like. There's things you do for an actor, whether they're A-list or B-list or they're the newest person to the set. Like you just treat them with respect, and you don't really talk to them unless you're James and you're very good friends with them. But anyway, like that was just one of those things. Like there's protocol. Like the set I was on last week, the one I was talking about, the thing. Every actor was so friendly. Like everybody was friendly, and I feel like it was something new that I had never seen. Like he was joking around with, like one of the actors was joking around with me. I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to be talking to me. And no disrespect against this guy, but he was talking to me in the middle of like my work, and I'm like, dude, like I said, I if any other situation, I would want to talk to you. I said, now I don't want you to talk to me. And he just kept rambling on, like following me as I'm picking up the 20 by 20. He's like, hey man, how's it going? I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Hey, but he's got like a good attitude. And he's
oh,
friendly
absolutely,
and,
absolutely, yeah.
But I mean, it's cool when you have.
But then
like
there's that's the whole thing. It boils down to is professionalism. Like, what's the question of professionalism?
The most professional thing you can do on set is bring your own business cards and start handing them out. Let people know who you are. If you're a first AC or a second AC, you always hand the director or the client your DP card. Go check out my go check out my my reel. Go check out my stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Try to steal the client.
Yeah,
Bite
exactly.
the hand that feeds you. It's a great idea.
Exactly.
Look, if you ain't trying to steal the client, what's the point?
Yeah. You get their
Why
email,
are you there?
You get their email. You email them. If something happens, great. If it doesn't, move on.
And
this is total satire right now.
It's all part of the set. Yeah. This is all fiction, but well, moving on to the
movies.
Before this episode ends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything movie-wise that I can talk about when it comes to things I've been interested in.
We mentioned Men in Black there for a second.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will talk about box office things.
We're not interested in movies. We're talking about flops, right?
Yes, that is
Recently,
that is very true. Movie flops.
Yeah.
For those that are kind of familiar with the more recent releases, X-Men: Dark Phoenix was released a week ago. Last Thursday. And it absolutely bombed. It was 33 million.
What do they blame it on? The white male?
Probably everything, really.
I thought all the reviews were good on it, though.
No, dude. Here's what I would say. Everybody that... Can I say this?
Yeah, go for it.
Everybody that's left will say that it's a good movie, but then there's people on the left that are actual bias, and they're like, it's a horrible movie. Every single person that I've talked to about that movie has said that that's their favorite comic book out of all the comic books. And that even out of the X-Men series, they absolutely love the character and the complexity of Dark Phoenix. They absolutely love it. What everyone has said about the film itself, and everyone that's reviewed it has said they've taken like the most boring bits out of the comic book or out of that comic book and produced it. You know, they didn't take any of the complexity. They didn't take anything. And I haven't seen it. And this is just what I've read. And from what people that just like, when you're friends with I'm not friends with that many people on Facebook, but when you have over 1,000 or 1,500 people in even 5,000, that's quite a bit lit, huh? But you have people that just spam your feed with, oh, I love this movie, or oh, I hate this movie, and here's the reasons why. And that's all I've seen is, Dark Phoenix, oh, I hate this movie.
Yeah.
But how much did it make in the box office?
So as of yesterday, which was the 16th, it was Sunday, it's made $51.8 million
How much did they spend?
in the U.S.?
Probably
$200 million.
Woo!
They spend $200 million on that film, and it's done absolutely horrible.
Here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, that's like...
Well, nobody in Georgia's talking.
So bad.
Probably, nobody in Atlanta or Georgia has watched it. Alabama, Missouri, any of the other states has probably not watched it since Sophie was like, I'm not filming in your state. And they're like, fine, we're not going to watch your movie.
Yeah, legitimately. No, well...
we can both boycott, boys.
Yeah, no, it's just like, it's so bad. Well, it was set to earn, they said it was going to earn like $290 million.
Yeah, well, they can expect all they want, you know?
Yikes.
You can't have
and this is a week later. This has been 1 week in the box office.
Well, here's the thing, dude. You can't have your main actress, which is Sophie Turner, you can't have her come out and make a statement, hey, I'm not going to film in Atlanta because of the abortions.
I mean, just like Captain Marvel.
Yeah, you can't have her come out and say that and then not expect
have
the repercussions.
What is
and I'm not saying that's exactly what it was. And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of people are just coming from this as biased as possible and saying that it's a bad film. Like,
yeah, it is just a bad film.
And when I watch things, I always watch it with just, hey, this is just a bad film, story-wise. There's absolutely films that I really, really like that might not be politically correct, but, you know what I mean? Like, it's a good film, period. There's story, there's everything about it, there's good acting.
It's what you want from a film.
Yeah, it's what you want. It's what you want to watch, yes. And it's not what Dark Phoenix is. Like, absolutely not. And I haven't seen it, but that's not what I've seen. Every review has said that it's horrible.
Yeah, I've seen nothing but the same. But, and that's the crazy part, too, because it wasn't the only bomb. Was it Shafts? Yeah, I think Shafts
that's
with Samuel L. Jackson. 8.3 in the box office.
8 million?
Yeah, 8.3 million in the box office. I don't know what they spent on it, but
my biggest question is, how did movie making go from like a 2.1 or a 1.9 or even
return
on even in terms of Avatar 4.7? How does it go from that many times of a return to a negative return? How?
No, dude, it's a game. Studios will say that they make 5 movies and one of them will return. But that return will pay for those 5 movies. They'll make money and then they'll move on. Yep. And they make 5 other ones and the 4 of them will flop. That 5th one will go. And then they make their money.
But that's
it's how they work.
But that's crazy to me to think that, like, I mean, because I thought that Dark Phoenix was gonna have like the biggest flop of the summer so far, like not even close.
Dude, that $8 million is bad.
I think the budget for that was only like 15-20 million.
With Michael, no,
I think
there's no way, dude. That guy costs so much.
Oh, I agree, but I don't think they had that massive of a budget. You want to look that up, Philip? I don't think they had Shafts. I think is the name of the movie.
Yeah, look up budget for that. There's no way, dude. There's absolutely no way they had a $15 million budget.
I don't know. But yeah, so Men in Black International came out, and it opened with 28.5.
How much was the budget? What was the budget on it? 300,000.
No. Hang on.
200,000. No, it could have been 300. Some of the biggest movies.
Budget was 30.
On Shaft.
Yeah, it's 30 million.
Wow, that's super low, dude.
30 to 35 million.
Wow. I would have never guessed that, dude.
Congrats to him for doing something that's out of the ordinary for an A-list.
Yeah, dude, he's such
that's probably his pay grade.
Well, but that was back. I mean, this is like the follow-up for the same series, so this is kind of like his return, basically. I mean, I didn't see the original ones.
I haven't seen the originals at all.
But, yeah, no, Men in Black, that whole thing.
How much was the budget?
110.
110, so they made 28 million.
Yeah. Opening.
But it's opening box. But that
Yeah,
again,
but that's horrible
that
for
just
Men in
sets,
Black.
It just
Like
sets
that's
the tone.
just
It just sets the tone.
It sets
for the rest
it's
of
a
the
horrible tone,
weeks.
and like people were giving it like absolutely horrible reviews. I mean, it's right now as of today, it's the top of the box office, but they said by tomorrow it's gonna drop.
Okay.
Like it's just, I don't know, the recent films that have been released. I mean, obviously the big one of the year is Endgame, but like outside of outside of the Marvel universe, it's kind of like interesting to see these films that are coming out. I mean, obviously, the next big one in my mind is going to be the next Spider-Man and
Spider-Man July 3rd
and Toy Story 4. That's going to be a
Toy
huge
Story
deal.
4 is going to do decent.
It's going to do decent. Then we got Lion King coming.
Toy Story. The thing with Toy Story is they never did a Star Wars on their franchise.
No.
You know, they never crashed their franchise.
They never changed the characters. They've kept with the entire storyline. Yep.
It's still, like, so far as I know, it's still Toy Stories.
You know what gets me about that whole thing is what cracks me up is that you can find an interview on the Graham Norton show of Tom Hanks talking about that show about Toy Story 4 in 2015.
Wow.
And they had just stopped recording it. They just stopped doing his lines that year. It's 2019 right now.
4?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You can go to find it on Norton. You just look up Tom Hanks interview Graham Norton show, and you will find an interview where he was asking what he's been up to, and he was talking about him doing lines.
I'm curious what the budget is on that. Hold on.
It's crazy how much time the animation stuff goes through, but like our animation in the last couple of years have gone through the roof. You know what I mean? I just feel like there's films like that we had recently watched, like 1010 as like one of the best films that I've seen animation wise. I just don't know how higher it can get when it comes to quality.
No,
it's crazy.
And I think I watched this one video. It's a bunch of guys. They do CGI.
Yeah.
And they do YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They were talking about this kind of extensively in a video, and they're like, it's not about getting better. Some of the newest stuff looks worse.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get ultra realistic instead of just being realistic. So it's I don't know if it's gonna get better. I think it's gonna blend better, but
I think it's just gonna get smoother. Hopefully they'll work on a lot more story. They'll have a lot more story time.
Yeah.
But either way, like just with the recent movies and the flops, it's kind of like absolutely painful for me to see some of these franchises get like absolutely destroyed by not only the Rotten Tomatoes, but just personal reviews. I mean, you just go online and you look at the trailers for these films, and they're absolutely
garbage.
Destroyed. Yeah, they're garbage.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, I'm not going to be the individual that walks up to the plate and says political correctness is killing films, but pretty much the movies that have failed the hardest this year have been fully like stock full of political correctness.
Yeah.
And
no, it's not even that.
It is.
It's not
but,
just,
that's my
it's
point.
not just movies that are
political
being
correctness has become literally the center point of films, to the point that in the film's trailer they're outputting like ideas and opinions about sexism,
that
or
women
men,
are strong. When were women not strong?
Exactly. Or for example,
really?
One of the comments about Men in Black, one of the most controversial things that came up that people are still talking about. You can go to YouTube right now and look at some of the top 3 comments, and they are all about this subject. But Tessa Thompson, isn't that her name? Yeah,
I don't know.
Came out and said,
I'm horrible with names.
Said that like even in the trailer, something along the lines of like, the name of Men in Black should be changed to like Women in Black, or it's just a sexist name. And the moment an actor says something like that, everybody that is a fan of the franchise, that loved it for what it was, whether or not you believe in the political correctness, you're immediately injected into a war about whether that's a right thing to say or not.
Yeah,
More importantly, whether or not,
which is great publicity, but it doesn't
it's great,
mean
but it doesn't do good for the film.
It doesn't mean the film's going to make money at that point.
Yep.
Like you're pretty much putting a damper on, just saying like, hey, look, we have a film, we have our ideas, but we're not going to walk around and telling you different opinions. This is just the way that we made the film, end of story. And if they didn't say anything, and it just came out, and Tessa Thompson in the film had a line of like, it's like, well, shouldn't we just upgrade that one day? Like, from like, Men in Black, it's just not, Men in Black. If she said something like that, I think most of the people in the audience are just going to be like, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
but
they still made their money.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're regurgitating so many films from previously. Men in Black didn't come out that long ago. It was in the 2000s, 2003, 2004, 2005.
No, 2000. 9.
Yeah,
The last
with
one, I think.
Will Smith. You can't follow up Will Smith. You absolutely cannot follow that up. And they're just regurgitating old stuff. It's horrible.
Like Star
people,
Wars.
Yeah, people just get fed up with seeing the same thing in a different suit. It's like the same girl in a different dress. It's like, no, it's the same girl. You know what I mean? It's the same person. It's like dress a pig up in a suit and it's still a pig. You know what I mean? Not
Jesus.
Hold on,
Ernest.
Hold on, I was seeing something. My mind caught up there.
Jesus.
Hold on.
What the?
Did you look at the time to see what you could cut?
What was that? You literally segued the worst possible way.
I did pig and girl the same thing. Sorry, guys.
The hell?
But no, that's not what I'm saying.
We're gonna get reviews on this thing
Yeah.
like these pieces of
Yeah. Bleep, bleep, bleep.
mother trucker. These
Yeah. We ended up with the headlines, and what our famous saying is publicity's never bad. But no, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, I just feel like for the whole writing world and even the whole Hollywood section is just regurgitating the same thing that we've had for years. And I'm just fed up with it. I'm starting to go back to watch old films. Like last night I just watched the Last Samurai for the first time.
Yeah.
The all way through.
Oh man, what's the name of the actor that plays the lead samurai?
I've seen him. He was in Inception.
He is so
good. Yeah, he's
he
really
is
good.
such a good actor.
He is.
He is so talented, and he's played like the samurai character type.
Yeah.
For so long that every single time I see his face, I'm immediately connecting with like the most honest, honorable individual that has ever played anything on screen. It kills me. You know, it's the same thing. Like the moment you see Jackie Chan, right?
Yep.
If a trailer comes up and it says starring Jackie Chan, and you don't have a clue what the trailer is.
think-
If he popped up as a villain, I would be like, no way, there is no, because
He's got to be an anti-villain.
yeah, he's got to be like a good character. Like when I see these actors, I don't even know his name, but I've seen him play in so many films. He has such a disposition to play such an empathetic but like dark and mysterious character that always has at the very center of it like a core leading part of the film.
Yeah.
Like the film doesn't exist without him. That's how I feel when I see him on screen. This film wouldn't make any sense if his character didn't play a part.
I would say it's probably one of the best films Tom Cruise has ever done. Besides, what was the one that he became super famous for? It's a flight.
Impossible?
No, it's the
No,
flight.
no.
I'm just literally blanking on the name. Absolutely blanking on the name.
Wow.
Uh,
I don't remember.
it's like a flight movie. It's him fight. It's like I can't remember.
Oh, him as a flight
Hang
attendant?
on.
Yeah, no, as a Air Force. He was part of the Air Force. I can't remember that film. Those are probably the best two. Like the Impossible things, the Mission Impossible.
Top Gun.
Top
That's
Gun.
it.
That's
Jeez.
what it is. Those two films are good. Like I absolutely love those films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top Gun was obviously like
He's got a
point.
career.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. No, I was watching this movie last night with Last Samurai, and there's a horse charge. There's like them charging horse charge, and there was slow motion and all that stuff, and I started thinking, I was like, what are some of the best charges I've seen? Hands down, I would say like Lord of the Rings, the Mayor's Tirith charge.
Yeah.
Like there's
Obviously.
there's something about that, and there's also
so much real about it.
yeah, and there's something so good about the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe. That charge,
that charge. Too,
like
yeah.
they're at the end of it, like I love the music up to the point, and then you just hear heartbeat, boom, 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 boom. Like yeah. But anyway, that was just a side note that I was thinking last night.
Tom Cruise actually. I forgot. Have you guys seen American Made?
Yeah.
That was I really enjoyed that film.
Dude, I don't see
like,
half of these films.
Like Oblivion was also a really good one. I thoroughly enjoyed, and maybe that was just more on the technical level.
Here,
but
let
it
me
was beautiful.
Let me explain how the household works. Austin will watch a film, right, or a TV show. He will tell us about probably 3 or 4 months. I will watch a TV show, and I will go, "Hey, this is a kind of a cool TV show."
But it's usually instant, right after. Yeah.
Austin will usually say. Sometimes I'll just go find something on my own, usually, but I'll go, "Hey, this is kind of cool," and then Austin will watch it in 2 or 3 months and say, "Yeah, that was kind of cool." Philip is always he never watches anything new. He just takes recs from what we like and goes, "Oh, yeah, I'll watch
Like
it."
a year later, he'll be like, "Bro,
That was
this
such a
show,
good-
listen." Like, dude, that came out like 3 years ago. What are
years
you
ago.
doing?
Or I'll walk into his room and he'll go, "Hey, man." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, I just watched a TV show. I was just watching, Mindhunter. That's all I was watching." It's like, "Oh, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago." Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Yep. He's always usually behind when it comes to content.
And I can't get a season done. It's like I'll get an episode and then I'll stop, and then a week later I get another episode, and then I'll get I'll do one episode, and then it's like a week, and then I'll do another episode, and then I'll binge 3, and then I'll stop, and then it's like a week later, and then I'll get another one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we're out of time, ladies and gentlemen. So,
but. Yeah, well, hey, thank you for joining us. Hopefully this was slightly entertaining or, annoying for those that hate us. But yeah, no, thanks for joining, and hopefully we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys said that same time. Peace. Dude.
That was perfect.
No, seriously, we should honestly end every single thing like that. I mean, honestly.
Peace.